Before we begin, pause with me for a moment. Just for a second, step away from the noise. If it feels comfortable, close your eyes. Put one hand on your heart. Take one slow, deep breath in through your nose. Feel your chest rise. Let your shoulders relax. Let your mind settle. Now breathe out slowly and allow all pressure, all expectations, all mental clutter to leave your body. Now let me ask you something powerful. What if I told you that just 3 simple words, spoken with genuine presence and real emotional sincerity, could stay in someone's mind long after the conversation ends? Not because they sound smooth, not because they're clever, not because they're rehearsed like some dating trick, but because they touch something deeper, because they create a moment that feels real, a moment that lingers, a moment her heart quietly remembers, even when she tries not to think about it. And I want you to really sit with that. When was the last time someone said something to you that didn't just pass through your ears, but stayed with you? When was the last time a message made you stop, reread it, feel it, maybe even smile without realizing why? And maybe it's been a long time. Maybe lately most of the conversations in your life have felt flat, predictable, almost robotic, just words going back and forth, never really touching anything meaningful inside you. If that feels familiar, you are not alone. Because the truth is, most people today are communicating constantly, but connecting very rarely. And somewhere deep down, you can feel that difference. There's a quiet part of you that craves something more, something deeper, something honest, something human, something that doesn't just fill silence, but actually means something. Most people spend way too much time overthinking what to say. They try to sound funny, impressive, mysterious, perfect. They rewrite messages 10 times. They second-guess every word. They analyze replies like detectives. And after all that effort, they still walk away feeling like nothing truly landed. Why? Because attraction is not purely logical. Emotional connection is not built on effort alone. It lives in the subconscious. It lives in those silent emotional shifts that happen when someone's words feel honest, grounded, intentional, and alive. And here's where it gets even more interesting. The human mind does not hold on to everything. It filters, it edits, it keeps what feels emotionally important, and lets everything else fade into the background. That's why you can forget 100 casual conversations, but still remember one sentence someone said to you years ago. One line, one moment, one emotional imprint, and that's exactly what we're diving into today. Today, we're going to break down how to create those unforgettable emotional moments, not through games, not through manipulation, not through fake charm, pickup lines, or scripted tricks, but through authentic communication that makes someone feel truly seen, deeply valued, and emotionally moved. And if this already feels important to you, take a second right now and like this video, not for me, but because it helps this message reach the people who are exhausted by shallow conversations and hungry for something real. And if you're someone who wants to grow in emotional intelligence, emotional attraction, and real human connection, subscribe and turn on notifications. Because here on Love, Lies, and Reality, we're not just talking about attraction. We're talking about awareness, depth, and truth. Now settle in, get comfortable, let yourself really absorb this, because this may completely change the way you see your conversations from this point forward. Think about the last time someone sent you a message that actually stayed with you. Not a, hey, how are you? Not some casual check-in. I'm talking about the kind of message that made you feel something, the kind that made you pause, the kind that shifted your mood, even if only for a moment. What made it different? It probably wasn't longer. It probably wasn't more complex. It wasn't packed with fancy words. It carried emotion, it carried intention, it painted a picture. It made you feel seen in a way most people don't even try to. That's the difference. Most daily conversations are safe, polite, and completely forgettable. How was your day? Good. You busy? And just like that, gone. Those exchanges dissolve into the background noise of life because there is no emotional weight to hold on to, no spark, no curiosity, no warmth, no image, no emotional charge. They leave nothing behind. Trying to remember them later is like trying to remember what you ate 3 Tuesdays ago. There's no anchor, but the unconscious mind doesn't work like that. It isn't linear, it isn't cold, it isn't mechanical. It is emotional. It is visual. It is associative. It works more like an artist than an accountant. It sketches the moments that feel alive and blurs everything else. So when your words carry real feeling, real curiosity, real appreciation, real presence, they do not just get heard, they get felt. And once something is felt deeply enough, it lingers. It returns in quiet moments. It replays when she's alone. It echoes in ways she cannot fully control. That is what psychologists often call emotional anchoring. And once you understand that, you begin to realize something incredibly powerful. Attraction is not built through giant dramatic gestures. It is built through small, emotionally charged moments that feel genuine. A forgettable, "How are you?" disappears, but a sentence that makes someone feel understood, that stays. Now here's where most people ruin it. They try too hard. They force impact. They try to sound smooth. They reach for lines they don't believe in. They perform instead of connect. And the moment they do that, something feels off. Have you ever read a message and thought, that sounds nice, but it doesn't feel real? That happens because the human brain is incredibly sensitive to incongruence. When words do not match energy, tone, intention, or emotional truth, they lose their power instantly. And this is exactly why the 3 words we're about to explore can be so magnetic when used correctly. Not because the words themselves are magical, but because of what they communicate underneath the surface. They communicate clarity, they communicate attention, they communicate appreciation, and most importantly, they communicate emotional honesty. These are not pickup lines. They are emotional tools. And like any tool, their power depends entirely on how and why you use them. The first word is simple, but most people completely misunderstand its power. I want. Now pause for a second and notice what that phrase does inside you. For some people, it feels strong, direct, masculine, grounded. For others, it feels intense, vulnerable, maybe even risky. And that is exactly why it works. Because most people hide from clarity. They hide behind vagueness. They dilute what they really feel so they don't have to risk rejection. Instead of saying what they actually mean, they wrap it in uncertainty. They say things like, maybe we could hang out sometime if you want, no pressure. And yes, that feels safe, but it does not create impact. It creates ambiguity. Now compare that to something like, I want to take you to dinner this weekend. I know a place you'd love. Feel the difference. There is no pressure in that. There is no force, but there is clarity. And clarity is deeply attractive because it signals emotional confidence and maturity. When you say, I want go with calm sincerity, you are not demanding anything. You are simply expressing your intention without hiding from it. And psychologically, that does something powerful. It creates polarity. It creates a grounded emotional frame where one person is honest about what they feel, and the other person is free to respond authentically. That is what healthy attraction looks like. Not chasing, not convincing, not over-explaining, just clear expression. But here's the part most people miss. I want only works when it comes from a centered place. If it comes from neediness, it feels heavy. If it comes from insecurity, it feels forced. If it comes from desperation, it pushes people away. But when it comes from calm presence, it feels safe. And safety is one of the most powerful conditions for attraction to grow. I remember working with someone who struggled with this exact issue. He was thoughtful, intelligent, kind, emotionally aware, but when it came to expressing interest, he watered everything down. He hesitated, he overthought, he softened every honest impulse until it lost all energy. Then one day, after sharing a genuinely meaningful conversation with someone he really liked, he simply said, "I want to see you again. I really enjoyed this." That was it. No performance, no trick, no calculated line. And do you know what happened? She paused, smiled, and said, "I like that you're clear." That moment stayed with her, not because those words were complicated, but because they were delivered with calm honesty, present, grounded, real. And that is what we are building here. Not lines, not gimmicks, presence. And if this is already shifting how you think about attraction and communication, comment the word clarity below, not just for engagement, but as a quiet commitment to yourself that you're ready to start showing up more honestly in your conversations, because what we're about to explore next goes even deeper. The second word is small, almost invisible, but it changes everything. Because. And most people have no idea how powerful this word really is. Because is tiny, ordinary, easy to overlook. But emotionally, it can transform a sentence from casual and forgettable into something meaningful and unforgettable. Let me show you the difference. Imagine someone says, "I enjoy talking to you." That's nice. It's kind. It may even feel flattering, but it usually doesn't stay. Now feel the shift when that becomes, "I enjoy talking to you because you have this thoughtful way of seeing things that makes me stop and think differently." Do you feel what changed? Now, the sentence has emotional texture. It has specificity. It has evidence. It feels observed. It feels real. It tells the other person, "I'm not just speaking, I'm noticing," and that is rare. Most people move through conversations half present. They listen just enough to reply. They wait for their turn to talk. They think about what to say next instead of receiving what is actually being shared. So when someone uses "because" the sincerely, it sends a very powerful emotional message. I see you. Not just your appearance, not just your surface personality, but the way you think, the way you express, the details other people miss. And psychologically, that touches one of the deepest human needs of all, the need to feel recognized, not admired in some shallow way, not praised for appearance, but genuinely understood. There is a huge difference between saying, "You're interesting," and saying, "You're interesting," because you don't just answer questions, you reflect on them in a way that feels very intentional. One feels generic, the other feels personal, and personal creates emotional resonance. There was even a well-known psychology finding showing that people were more likely to respond positively to a request when it included the word "because," even when the reason itself was simple. Why? Because the human brain responds to meaning. It relaxes when there is structure. It leans in when there is intention. But in emotional communication, "because" does even more than that. It creates a bridge between your feeling and your awareness. It shows that your words are not random. They are rooted in something real, something observed, something true. And that is what makes someone pause later and think, "Wow, he actually noticed that about me." Here is something you need to remember. Specificity is what makes words unforgettable. Most people stay vague because vague feels easier. You're fun. You're nice. I like talking to you. But vague language slides right off the mind because it could apply to anyone. Specific language attaches. I like talking to you because you don't rush to fill silence. You actually sit with it, and that makes conversations feel calm. Now that creates a feeling. Now that paints a picture. Now the mind has something to hold on to. Imagine you're on a date. The energy is natural. The pauses are comfortable. The conversation feels easy. At the end, instead of saying, I had a good time, you say, I had a really good time because it felt easy to be myself around you. See what happens there? You are not just describing the date. You are giving her insight into the emotional effect she had on you. And the moment someone realizes they made you feel something real, the connection deepens. Because now it is not only about attraction, it is about impact. And impact is memorable. Now it becomes even more powerful when you combine because with genuine observation. That combination creates emotional safety, and emotional safety is one of the strongest foundations of lasting attraction. Because when someone feels positively seen without pressure or judgment, they relax, they soften, they open up, they become more of themselves, and that is where true connection begins. But listen carefully. This only works if it is genuine. You cannot fake depth. You cannot fake real observation. You cannot manufacture emotional precision if you are never actually paying attention. People can feel the difference between authenticity and performance. So instead of trying to come up with something impressive, slow down, listen more closely, watch more carefully, notice the little things, the way she explains something, the way she laughs when she feels comfortable, the way her energy shifts when a topic matters to her, the way she responds to silence, the patterns in her behavior that reveal who she really is beneath the surface. Those are the things that matter. And when you reflect those things back to her using because, it can feel like holding up a mirror she didn't even know she needed. So here's something I want you to try. The next time you are in a conversation, whether through text, on a call, or face to face, pause before you respond. Ask yourself, what did I genuinely notice here? Notice. Not what sounds good, not what sounds smooth, not what will impress. What did you actually notice? Then say it simply. I liked that you said that because that stood out to me because I respect that because you will be amazed at how differently people respond when they realize they are actually being seen. And if this is clicking for you, hit like on this video and comment one thing you've noticed about someone recently, but never said out loud. That's how awareness grows. Because the more deeply you notice, the more meaningful your words become. Now let's move into the third word, and this one goes deeper than attraction. This one creates trust. This one creates emotional depth. This one creates something that goes far beyond first impressions. I appreciate. Out of all three, this is the one with the deepest emotional weight, because attraction can happen quickly. It can be visual. It can be impulsive. It can come and go. But appreciation is different. Appreciation is slower, more intentional, more grounded. It comes from truly seeing someone, not just for how they look or what they do, but for who they are. And that is exactly why it lands so deeply. Most people are used to compliments. You look great. You're beautiful. You have a nice smile. And there's nothing wrong with those, but they usually do not go very deep. In fact, many people hear those things so often that they stop feeling much at all. But appreciation, that is rare, because appreciation requires presence. It requires awareness. It requires you to actually notice something meaningful about someone's character, spirit, energy, or way of moving through the world. And when you express that, it lands differently. Instead of saying, "You're nice," imagine saying, "I appreciate how thoughtful you are with people. That kind of care is rare and it really stands out." Feel the difference. One is surface level. The other feels like recognition, and recognition creates emotional impact because deep down, people do not just want to be liked, they want to be understood, they want to be valued for something real. Here is the subtle beauty of appreciation. When you appreciate someone sincerely, you are not trying to extract anything from them. You are not fishing for validation. You are not manipulating emotion. You are simply offering recognition freely. That creates a completely different energy. It removes pressure. It removes expectation. It creates calm. It creates safety. And that is where everything starts to come together. When you combine all three, I want, because, and I appreciate, you create something incredibly powerful. You create a sentence that does not just communicate attraction, it creates an emotional moment. For example, "I want to see you again because I really appreciate the calm energy you bring. It makes everything feel lighter." Pause and really feel that. There is clarity, there is reason, there is emotional depth, and most importantly, there is sincerity. That kind of sentence does not feel like a line. It feels like truth. And truth is memorable because it is rare. Most people are distracted, guarded, performing, trying to sound right instead of being real. But when someone speaks with honesty, emotional awareness, and grounded presence, it cuts through all of that noise. It reaches something deeper. Now let's talk about what is happening psychologically when you communicate this way. There are three key elements at play. First, emotional anchoring. When your words create a strong positive emotional experience, your presence becomes associated with that feeling. So later, when she thinks about you, she does not only remember the sentence, she remembers how it made her feel. Second, novelty. You are breaking the pattern of shallow, predictable conversation, and the brain is naturally drawn toward what feels different, not louder, not flashier, just more real. Third, emotional safety. Your words carry no pressure, no hidden agenda, no neediness, just calm, clear expression. And when someone feels emotionally safe, they open up, they lean in, they get curious about you. But with that kind of emotional impact comes responsibility, because influence without integrity becomes manipulation. These words are not meant to play with someone's emotions. They are not meant to create false attachment. They are not meant to make someone emotionally dependent on you. They are meant to express what is already true. That means timing matters. You do not force these words into every conversation. You do not rush to use them just to get a reaction. You do not speak them unless the moment is real. You use them after a meaningful conversation, at the end of a date that genuinely felt good, in a quiet moment where something true was shared. And when you say them simply, calmly, honestly, no over-explaining, no trying too hard, no performance, because your tone matters, your body language matters, your eye contact matters. Words alone are never enough. They need congruence. If your energy is rushed, your words lose weight. If your tone is uncertain, your message weakens. But when your words, energy, and intention all align, they land with real power. And here is another truth you need to remember. Not everyone will respond the same way, and that is okay. Connection is mutual, attraction is mutual. If someone does not meet your energy, you do not chase, you do not beg, you do not convince, you respect it, because the goal is not to make every person feel something for you. The goal is to connect deeply with the people who naturally resonate with your presence. That is where something real begins. Now, I want you to reflect for a moment. Think about someone in your life right now, someone you genuinely enjoy talking to, someone with a quality you deeply respect, but maybe you have never put it into words. What would it sound like if you spoke to them with this level of honesty and emotional clarity? Not perfectly, not poetically, just honestly. Maybe it sounds like, I appreciate how calm you stay in stressful situations. Or, I like talking to you because you make things feel simple. Or even, I want to spend more time with you. I really enjoy this. Simple, real, human. And sometimes that is all it takes to create a moment someone never forgets. If this resonated with you, comment one sentence you could genuinely say to someone in your life using these 3 words. Not for approval, not for validation, but as practice. Because awareness without action fades fast, and this kind of emotional intelligence only grows when you actually use it. Also, if you've made it this far, take a second and like this video. It helps this message reach the people who truly need it. And if you want more content on emotional intelligence, human psychology, authentic attraction, and real connection, subscribe to OW Love, Lies, and Reality. And turn on notifications. Because this is not about becoming more attractive on the surface. It is about becoming more present, more intentional, more emotionally aware, more real, and that changes everything. As we come to the end, remember this. Attraction is not about perfection. It is not about saying the perfect words. It is about creating moments that feel honest enough to be remembered, moments that leave a quiet emotional imprint, moments that stay even after the conversation is over, moments that echo in silence. When you speak with clarity, when you notice deeply, when you appreciate genuinely, you stop being just another conversation. You become an experience, something rare, something felt, something unforgettable. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing awareness over autopilot. Just by listening with intention, you are already changing the way you connect with people. Take a slow breath, stay grounded, speak with sincerity, lead with respect. And the next time you feel something real, don't hide from it. This is Love, Lies, and Reality, where we go beyond surface attraction and into the truth of human connection.